Now let's settle for the details of the story. And first up, former President Jerry John Rawlings has called on the African Union mission in Somalia, that's AMISOM, to explore all avenues to bring an end to activities of Somali-based Al-Shabaab-linked terror group Al-Shabaab. In a message of condolence and solidarity to the government and people of Kenya following the terrorist attack on the Westgate Mall in Nairobi on Saturday, the former president, who played a key role in the transition process in Somalia, which led to the election of Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud as president of Somalia in 2012, said, "I write with sadness to express my deepest condolences to the government and people of Kenya and indeed all members of the international community who have been affected in diverse ways by the senseless act of terrorism at the Westgate Mall in Nairobi." President Rawlings said Kenya has played a key role in ensuring peace in Somalia, first as the host of several international organizations pursuing peace in Somalia, and later supporting the peace enforcement mission in that country by joining AMISOM. The Westgate attack is a reminder of the huge challenges that still confront Somalia, and particularly AMISOM troops contributing countries post August 2012, and all avenues have to be explored to bring an end to the devious agenda of the Al-Shabaab insurgents. The former president called on the government and people of Kenya to remain resolute even under these very trying moments and continue to play a vital role in securing stability within the region.
Now, family of renowned Ghanaian poet, the late Kofi Awuno, who was killed in the Westgate Mall in Kenya, says there will be no public viewing of his body during the burial service. The family will have a private burial ceremony at the late poet's premises on the 3rd of October. This will be followed by a state-sponsored burial on the 11th of October. He will be finally laid to rest in his hometown, Wita, in the Volta region on the 9th of November. Even before his demise, Professor Awuno had written his biography and instructed his family on how his funeral should be organized, according to spokesperson of the family, Kofi Anyidoho. Professor Awuno's wife and 2 children who are outside the country are expected to arrive soon.
Now, away from the late professor's house, part of Ahomaso, a suburb of Kumasi, on Monday morning was submerged after a heavy downpour. Some houses were flooded, leaving its occupants stranded for hours. No casualty was recorded, though. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin sent in this report from the area.
After hours of heavy downpour, some parts of Ahomaso was flooded. Residents could not get out of their buildings because of the level of the flood water. Residents say the bridge is too small to accommodate the amount of flood waters. 2 children were rescued by a combined team of fire service and police personnel. One of the affected residents, Upukwa Mankwa, said this is the 3rd time the area has been flooded and nothing has been done about it.
It's about the 3rd time, but this is the biggest one that we have actually encountered. The first and second one did not, we didn't see much of this.
He explained the family attempted to drain a river close to the residency to avoid future floods, but was charged some amount of money and other staffs by the elders of the area for exposing it.
It was the wife and I initiated the process, and upon doing that we were summoned to the palace that we have exposed the water. This is a place where the Queen Mother comes and have a bath occasionally, and so since we have actually dreaded the place, she can't have a bath here anymore. And so they called us to the palace and asked us to pay certain amount. We pleaded. Then it came to 200 Ghana cedi, which is the old 2 million plus 2 white goats and sheep, and then 2 bottles of schnapps.
He appealed to the government to come to their aid.
I'll just appeal to the authorities to come to our aid, but until then, my family and I have no choice.
Well, away from that, 12 people have been killed in a gory accident at Nswaim near Takwa in the Western region. There were 9 males and 3 females.
The accident took place at about 6:30 Monday evening, involving a Hyundai minibus with registration number WR290513 and a tipper truck with registration number GT1004U. 12 out of the 13 passengers on board the Hyundai minibus, which was heading towards Takoradi from Takwa, were killed instantly. The tipper truck was heading towards Takwa from Takoradi. The driver of the tipper truck and one other person on the Hyundai bus survived the accident and are on admission at the Discov Hospital in critical condition, whilst the dead bodies have been deposited at the Ifia-Kwanta Hospital morgue. Western Regional MTTU Commander DSP Thomas Bayo narrated the incident to Joy News.
There was a parked trailer vehicle. So the bus, in an attempt to overtake the parked trailer, veered into the lane of the Hyundai minibus. As a result, there was head-on collision. There is likelihood of overspeeding on both sides of drivers, because the driver that was from Takwa coming, if you know because of the overspeeding, when there was a vehicle parked in his lane, he should be able to slow down to allow this other vehicle to pass, then he can come into that lane to overtake. But because he was overspeeding, he could not have stopped at that point, so he veered into this mad lane. As we are in the third quarter, normally in Western region we record our highest accident rate in the third quarter, where it is raining. So my advice is that at this period, drivers should slow down their speed and observe what is happening on the road before they can speed. But if you overspeed and think that you are in a hurry to go, there can be a parked vehicle, there can be a broken down vehicle, anybody at all can be crossing the road. So we need to slow down, have patience on the road, and then allow our road users to have fair share of the road.
A report filed by William Benjamin Peters from the Western region.
Now let's head back to the Ashanti region, and some residents of some flood-prone areas in Kumasi fear they would be rendered homeless if authorities do not act now. According to them, they feel threatened each time it rains. Here's a report by Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
Some parts of Mushizongo and Asuyeboa, both in Kumasi, are noted for flooding after every downpour. Residents say just as the rains have set in, they are anxious about their lives and property. Some residents have already relocated from the area due to the frequent floods, but for other residents, they cannot afford to relocate because they do not have the means. According to residents of Mushizongo, the poor construction of the storm drain makes the flooding situation worse anytime it rains. After several walks through this community, there is every indication that some of the buildings have already been affected. Unit Committee Secretary told Joy News what residents have done so far to curb the situation.
Last year we did dredge the drains, but it was the monies were contributed by the landlords who reside along the banks of the river. The government never came in to help us. So this year we made some projections to meet them. But because some of them are saying that when we did the last time, it did help, of course. But this year, they are not willing to support us anymore because they thought it was the duty of the government to come and do it. So we are really in hardship. We will expect the government, we will appeal to the government to come and help us. If even they can dissolve the gutter and construct the bridge for us, they have to open it wide for the rain to pass through direct.
But some residents still have worries. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin's report from the Ashanti region.
Yeah, down for a friend Escobar. Need them. Eba nsu asɛ ne nyoma ne system ne dem TV ne nkonja ne bibia ide asɛ no ye ma me no nsu to kra na omo ntimi nya baabi ede emfo mu timfa won so omo dwa na omo so so omo ba da ne awreho
ye friends wala bu da e kakakra ka di nipa kura akoi bridge de di nipa akopen nipa afa omo bru fo nsu to na abegina ha ka ntimi mma ka ntimi nko nti sra ban so omo ma nya sa dia ye tifa ha dia ye wukura.
Now, back in the nation's capital, the National Road Safety Commission has denied reports that a recent law to reduce accidents on the country's roads bans the importation of second-hand tires. According to the Commission, the law rather targets substandard tyres. The Commission has meanwhile postponed implementation of the law until March 2014. Eric Curtis Howard has more.
Though the Commission had originally set out to ban second-hand tyres, as communicated by several officials, the eventual law which was passed did not do that. LI 2180 of the 2012 Road Traffic Regulations Act states that a person shall not fix a tyre on a motor vehicle or trailer if the tyre is more than 4 years old, counting from the date of manufacture, or the tyre is labelled a Class C tyre, meant for use in cold weather.
The tyre must have a certain minimum tread depth. The teeth of the tyre must measure a certain minimum, 1.6 mm. 2, the tyre must be one that was manufactured for hot tropical environments like Ghana. So you could have a used tyre which meets, with all intents and purposes, these requirements. You could as well have a new tyre which offends these requirements. So it would not be fair if you decided that you want to ban used tyres, because you may as well have very good looking tyres that are new, that are, for instance, Class C tyres and unlawful for use in Ghana, are more than 6 or 4 years and unlawful for use in Ghana and their likes.
The law, according to the Commission, is informed by its studies, which indicate that 75% of tyres used in the country are second-hand, with most of them being substandard. The substandard tyres, it says, are responsible for a third of all fatal road accidents in the country. The use of second-hand tyres was also found to have the effect of reducing vehicular braking capabilities, with a high probability of crashes occurring in wet conditions. Kwame Etuahini-Kodua explains the Commission will be implementing a strict monitoring and enforcement regime to ensure all second-hand tyres imported meet the necessary safety requirements. He says the decision to postpone implementation of the law to March 2014 follows consultation at which stakeholders agreed more time was needed to educate the public on the law.
There was the need for much deeper and further consultation. For instance, we may want to rely on the customs or the guys at the port to do the enforcement at the point of entry. It will be counterproductive if these guys do not themselves understand the technical aspect of these requirements the way we do. There may be problems. The same to do with our folks at Ghana Standards Authority and even the police.
The Commission is meanwhile appealing to importers to be mindful of the grade and quality of tyres they import.
So Smart, I understand that the ban is not necessarily on second-hand tyres, but rather substandard.
But then also calls for the definition of what substandard tyres are.
And apparently majority of second-hand tyres in the country are also substandard. So
let's see how it goes from March 2014 when the implementation actually starts, and then we'll get to know which ones are substandard, which ones are Class C that should not come, and then all the others. So, but that's it for the news on the AM show. We have sports coming up shortly, which is brought to you by Tigo. Okay, so we'll start the sports news shortly. Of course, we're bringing you some more highlights of some of the matches that have been played last night. But of course, Sports on the AM show, as always, is brought to you kind courtesy of Tego.
Well, let's get right into it. There was action in the Spanish La Liga last night, including thrashing of Real Sociedad. Here are some highlights of the game.
Barcelona continued their sensational early season form in La Liga with another crushing victory. Their 6th in a row as they beat Real Sociedad 4-1 at the Camp Nou. It was Real Sociedad who created the first chance when Swiss international Haris Seferovic hit the crossbar with a searing drive in the 2nd minute. Typical of a champion team though, Barca made them pay for that miss 3 minutes later. Alexis Sanchez's somewhat innocuous cross was poorly dealt with by the Sociedad defence, and Neymar had the easiest of tap-ins to make it 1-0. And 2 minutes later it was 2-0. Neymar was the provider, this time from the left, and who else but Lionel Messi was on the end of the cross at the far post for his 7th goal of the season. With Real Sociedad defence in disarray, a 3rd goal was inevitable, and it came in a somewhat bizarre fashion as the ball bounced around the penalty area like a pinball, with both Dani Alves and Messi missing great chances before Sergio Busquets lashed the loose ball beyond keeper Claudio Bravo. Sociedad were on the ropes and goal-scoring opportunities were rare for them, but Frenchman Antoine Griezmann did force a save out of Victor Valdez 3 minutes from half-time with a powerful long-range effort. 6 minutes into the 2nd half, Messi tested Bravo from the edge of the penalty area as Barca continued to overwhelm the Sociedad defence. Barca were playing like they had 2 extra players and acres more space on the pitch. Messi picked out Neymar on the left. The Brazilian couldn't beat Bravo from the angle. Perhaps a little frustrated at not converting the plethora of chances, Barca allowed Sociedad space down the right. Carlos Vela exploited it, and Alberto de la Bella tapped the ball beyond Valdez. It was 3-1. That defensive lapse had little effect up front where Messi was inspirational. Another devastating run to the byline and a sharp cross gave substitute Marc Bartra the chance to tuck the ball into the goal and restore the 3-goal lead. Such was Barcelona's dominance and confidence that even after Messi was substituted 9 minutes from time, they continued to lay siege to the Real Sociedad goal. Gerard Piqué had a shot stopped by Bravo, and Alexis Sanchez hit the woodwork with a late header. Another compelling performance by Barcelona on a night they could well have scored 10 goals. Real Sociedad left the Camp Nou relieved they'd only conceded 4.
And away from Spain, there was also action in the English Capital 1, and we're bringing you some highlights of matches played last night.
Following his recent squad expansion, Andre Villas-Boas was still able to field a top-class team for Tottenham's Capital 1 Cup 3rd round tie against Aston Villa, including the likes of Paulinho, Lamela and Defoe. Spurs' recent Argentine acquisition was denied by Jed Steer in the 39th minute, but their England striker broke the deadlock in first half stoppage time.
Holtby, ding back over to Defoe! Oh, it's an absolutely lovely goal! Jermaine Defoe for Tottenham Hotspur, with by a distance the best move of the game.
Shortly after the break, substitute striker Nicolas Helenius would have been forgiven for expecting a penalty after Jan Vertonghen fell over his own feet.
Is that a foul? Well, Vertonghen, as he falls onto the striker and pulls his shorts down. That is extraordinary. Oh dear. Well, Nicolas Helenius has got the shot away with the shorts round his ankles.
Moments later at the other end, however, one of Tottenham's new boys doubled the lead.
And it's found its way in, and it's Paulinho. And Tottenham are 2 up.
Another summer transfer, Nasser Chadli, came off the bench to smash in a 3rd before Defoe tucked in his 6th of the season to complete the 4-0 rout. Spurs leap into the 4th round as they continue to build a winning culture under their Portuguese mentor. Jose Mourinho deployed an array of stars when Chelsea took on Swindon Town in the 3rd round of the Capital 1 Cup. The much talked about Juan Mata started alongside David Luiz, Fernando Torres and Willian. The gulf in class was evident, and a Spanish combination brought about the Blues' first goal.
And here's Mata, and Torres scores! Mata, who requires an eye-catching performance, and Torres, who doesn't produce enough of them.
After joining the fray in the 10th minute due to Marco van Hunkel's injury, Ramirez would also have his say.
Threaded through for Ramirez, and he makes it 2.
The third-tier club were certainly no pushovers in the second half, producing the better attacking play than their lofty opponents. And when defence was required, they scrambled effectively. Willian came close to making it 3 late on, but was unable to replicate the effort of his countrymen. Chelsea is safely through to the next round, but Mourinho will be asking certain players some questions regarding their proficiency in front of goal.
In Capital One tonight, here are the fixtures. Birmingham City versus Swansea City, Manchester United versus Liverpool, Newcastle United versus Leeds United, Tranmere Rovers versus Stoke City, West Albion versus Arsenal.
Okay, now let's switch sports from football to athletics, and we're talking about Usain Bolt, who, after rescinding his decision of an early retirement after the 2016 Olympic Games, he has actually signed a new contract with his kit sponsors, Puma. Let's get the latest on that.
Renewed his endorsement contract with sportswear company Puma beyond the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. The 27-year-old Bolt holds the world records at both the 100 and 200 meters with 6 Olympic and 8 world gold medals. Puma have supported Bolt since he was 16 years old.
Each year we have developed newer spikes every year to get better, and it's not going to be any different this year. We're going to work on a few more innovative spikes, and it's all about speed, as they said, forever faster. I want to go the fastest, so I'm going to work on it.
Well, now he has attained legendary status, as he always dreamed, and it's amazing he was thinking of an early retirement, and now he's had a change of mind all of a sudden. Well, the last time he was speaking, he said actually it was the fans who were pressuring him not to retire early, and then the kit sponsors also came along. So I think Charlie, once money is talking, who will say no?
So he says.
Well, that's it for sports, brought to you by the Kindness sponsorship of Tigo.